Spotlight is proudly sponsored by HEC Media.
Today on Spotlight, St. Louisans love celebrating the 4th of July. We'll explain how historical records show little has changed since the beginning. Plus, find out how a parade float goes from a doodle to a creation so it can ride for America's birthday. And then a show exploring the long history of the men's and women's World Chess Championship. But first, Blueberry Hill, the story behind this St. Louis staple. It's Sunday and you're watching the multiple Emmy Award-winning Spotlight.
The Delmar Loop has been voted one of the 10 best streets in America. And for the past 50 years, its front door has been Blueberry Hill.
It's essentially Cheers for U City.
And the couple who started it all was Joe and Linda Edwards, who built the restaurant on $10,500 of money borrowed from friends.
I started it because I didn't know what I wanted to do in life, and I figured, well, I'm going to try to open a place where people could gather and enjoy themselves, where I could program the jukebox with my record collection of 30,000 45 RPM records and change every single song every 2 weeks, except for Blueberry Hill, of course.
When the restaurant opened in 1972, the Delmar Loop had gone from thriving business district to rack and ruin, making the early days at Blueberry Hill an uphill battle. U City was so skeptical of a long-haired hippie opening a restaurant, at first it refused to grant Edwards a liquor license. Eventually, though, the city gave in. Edwards got his license, kept his ponytail, and hired lots of other people with ponytails.
The first 2 years, I didn't know if we were going to make it. And we almost went out of business 3 times in those first 2 years, mainly because I banned for life 2/3 of our customers. I was not going to deal with the rude people that would say rude things to strangers they didn't know. I wasn't going to deal with the drug dealers or the so-and-so that were frequent in the area. And when they got out of hand, it was just, okay, you're banned for life. Oh, you can't do that. Yeah, I can.
Some better behaved patrons have become customers for life. Tracy Moore started coming here when she was just 8 years old.
You can't not come. There's like a thing about it where you feel home. There's like an authentic feel of this place where it's not forced. It's not some kitschy place that has, things on the wall that are fake.
First time I came in here, you just look around, and like when I bring people in here, you can't take it all in one sitting.
Over 5 decades, Blueberry Hill's shoe size has greatly grown. What started in just 2 rooms today has a footprint of 10 rooms, covering an entire city block. Becca Schock came here 30 years ago looking for a job as a dishwasher. Within 5 years, she was made general manager. But she doesn't work behind the scenes. She works behind the bar.
There's a bunch of people that come here every single day, and the people that they hang out with, I'm sure, are quite different than the people that they would have been hanging out with and meeting in other parts of their life. I hope I don't die anytime soon, but I think that the people that might attend my memorial will be a real strange group of people,
The most eclectic group of people frequenting Blueberry Hill may be the musicians who have played here. Blueberry Hill has long been a friend to local talent and for some performers a stepping stone to stardom. And then, of course, there was the residency of the biggest star of all, Chuck Berry, the father of rock and roll, who performed 209 monthly concerts in the Duck Room.
Chuck Berry being here was just so special. And I don't even know if people realize how important he was to music and to the St. Louis area. But I just cherish the memories of seeing him.
He was always there at 10 o'clock. He might be there 2 hours early or 1 minute before, but he always showed up and just played his heart out. He loved performing at Blueberry Hill.
Just as Chuck Berry helped put Blueberry Hill on the map, Blueberry Hill helped put the Delmar Loop on the map. The success of the restaurant propelled Joe Edwards to work his way down the block, saving old places like the Tivoli Theater and building new places like the Moonrise Hotel. Edwards also created the St. Louis Walk of Fame, rivaled in star power by his own Walls of Fame inside Blueberry Hill. But the real stars are the everyday customers who think of the staff as family and the place as home.
My mom turned 80. She wanted a Budweiser and she wanted a burger from Blueberry Hill. So for her 80th birthday, that's what she wanted to do. She wanted to have a little party at Blueberry Hill. You know, people would say like, well, didn't you want to go somewhere fancy? And like, no, she wants to go to Blueberry Hill. Like, that's her thing. She passed away in January, and her birthday is coming up, and we're gonna come and have an honorary burger and beer for her.
In the late 1970s, people came in just assuming since they had big money, we're buying it. And I said, well, no, you're not. And said, right, we're going to do it. We're going to put one in Denver. We're going to put one so-and-so. I said, no, you're not. You can do whatever you want with your own places. You're not touching Blueberry Hill and the Delmar Loop. This is a one-of-a-kind. Get out.
Opening a restaurant in a rundown area of town in 1972 may have seemed like a moonshot. But for Joe Edwards, well, that's kind of his thing.
What I try to do is create one-of-a-kind places where people can put their troubles behind them for like 2 or 3 hours and enjoy life. Everybody feels welcome here.
You can find the stories featured in today's show along with past episodes and more at hecmedia.org/spotlight.
HEC has been bringing you positive programming and award-winning content for decades. Arts, education, culture, in-depth discussions, films, and more. All in one place, hecmedia.org.
History Spotlight, brought to you by HEC Media and the Missouri Historical Society.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jody Sowell, President of the Missouri Historical Society in St. Louis, and this is History Spotlight. St. Louisans love celebrating the 4th of July with barbecues, parades, and of course, fireworks. Historical records show little change from the first Independence Day picnics held following the Louisiana Purchase to the more recent Celebrate St. Louis. Chris Gordon, MHS Director of Library and Collections, explains how St. Louisans have always loved celebrating our nation's birthday.
St. Louisans love to celebrate the 4th of July. The earliest 4th of July celebrations go all the way back to the early 19th century, right after the conclusion of Louisiana Purchase. People would gather to celebrate Independence Day in many ways the way we do today, in picnics and celebrations and so forth. Typically in the early 19th century, there were many organized banquets or very large picnics on the 4th of July. And they tended to include toasts. There would be all kinds of speeches by politicians and prominent individuals talking about the story of independence, usually extolling the virtues of men like George Washington. And every time that they would talk about these individuals, they would stop and they would toast to these individuals. They would often shoot off cannons, sometimes between each toast. There were 4th of July parades. Often these parades were organized by the local fire companies. Before 1858, when the municipal fire department was founded, there were independent private fire departments. And these were kind of like fraternal organizations. So they would dress up in their uniforms, they would have big 4th of July parades and picnics. And then as the years progress, you start to see fireworks included in these 4th of July celebrations. And it's pretty interesting, in the late 1900s, in order to control the use of fireworks in the city, because obviously then as of now, they're a fire hazard, you actually had to go down to City Hall and get a permit if you wanted to fire off fireworks in front of your home. They were also having larger and larger events at places like Creve Coeur Lake. Much more of what you consider modern celebrations, with families coming out, spending the day at the park, bringing picnic baskets and things like that you see today. There were many notable 4th of July events, including a 4th of July event at the 1904 World's Fair. There was a parade through the fairgrounds. Then later on, we see events such as Fair St. Louis. And this is established in the late 1960s through the more modern era, where you see things like air shows that are included and bands. And then every suburban area would have their own individual parades through places like Webster Groves and Kirkwood as well. So St. Louis has always had a very vibrant 4th of July celebration history that continues to this day.
Next on History Spotlight, a woman veterinarian that dramatically improved animal care in Missouri.
To learn more about the Missouri Historical Society, visit mohistory.org. For more St. Louis stories, subscribe to the HEC YouTube channel. Connect STL from HEC Media.
America's Birthday Parade started in 1878 as the Veil Prophet Parade, so it's been around quite a while, but we are one of the largest 4th of July celebrations in the country. Floats have always been part of the parade. The parade used to be at nighttime, and they used to have a unit called the flambeau unit that would walk around the floats with candles and flames on large sticks to illuminate the floats. All in all, we run approximately 21 floats in the parade, separated by marching bands. We have a lot of satellite units like trains and spaceships, and then of course everyone loves the giant inflatable balloons that are in the parade. Every year, probably 2 to 3 floats get completely remodeled, and the other ones just get retweaked with new props. Slight things get changed around. Some of them are classic floats, such as the showboat, the pirate ship. Those usually just get freshened up every year, but you know, you just don't want to change them. They're just perfect the way they are. When we start a float from scratch, first we have to have a theme, an idea. Is there going to be entertainment on the float? What type of entertainment? Is it a band? Is it a unicycle troupe? Different types of entertainment will have different needs. We have a very small team of people here. We have one carpenter, one sculptor, one painter, and then shoestring group of guys pulling it all together.
I am the organizing volunteer who brings together the 30 or so committees that all contribute to make America's Birthday Parade a parade. It entails meetings that go for about 7 months of the year, planning that goes on for about 12 months of the year, to design floats, to develop a theme for each one of the parades, and then to go out and not only attract sponsors, but also attract elements from marching bands to car clubs to other unique and fun parade-like units. While we're celebrating our nation's birthday and we're celebrating our independence and all of those themes that make us uniquely American, we're also talking about our own past, our own experiences, things that are different for everybody, but on the whole kind of bring us all together.
Devon Allman honors his father while setting a world record later on Spotlight.
We are at the World Chess Hall of Fame in our exhibition Clash for the Crown, celebrating chess champions. This show explores the long history of the World Chess Championship and the Women's World Chess Championship, and we have artifacts related to many of these important historical figures from their beginnings to the present. When people visit Clash for the Crown, they're going to get to learn a lot of different stories about the history of the World Chess Championship, including one that happened right here in St. Louis. A lot of people don't know this, but St. Louis has a really long chess history, including being part of the very first World Chess Championship, which was fought between William Steinitz and Johannes Zuckertort. Steinitz ultimately won the match, and he was the very first American World Chess Champion. As you walk through the gallery, you'll get to see a lot of artifacts related to various women's world chess champions and world champions, including a tablecloth embroidered with the name of the very first women's world chess champion, Vera Menchik, a prototype for the table for the 1978 World Chess Championship, which was fought between Anatoly Karpov and Viktor Korchnoi, and a table that was created for the 1972 World Chess Championship, which was fought between Bobby Fischer and Boris Spassky. We also have artifacts on loan to us from more contemporary figures in the world of chess, including the strongest chess player of all time, Magnus Carlsen, and Viswanathan Anand, the very first Indian world chess champion. Clash for the Crown includes the histories of many of the world chess champions and women's world chess champions, and they're admirable not just for their accomplishments over the board, but also they have really fascinating personal histories. You can learn more about figures like Susan Polgar, who is one of the strongest female players. She and her sisters set many records, and she lived right here in St. Louis. She is also a women's world chess champion in 1996, and she kindly donated many artifacts related to that historical win to the Hall of Fame. We also have artifacts related to Nona Gaprindashvili, the first woman to become a grandmaster, and Alexandra Kosteniuk, another women's world chess champion. We hope that you'll visit Clash for the Crown, which will be on view through January 12th, 2025. And to learn more about the show and our other exhibitions, you can visit our website, worldchesshof.org.
HEC Media. Recognized, celebrated, honored time and again for excellence in the industry. HEC Media has been bringing home the hardware for over a decade. Arts and education to author talks, magazine shows and documentaries, individual craft achievements to overall excellence. Find all of the award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
The success of Devon Allman is rocketing. He's officially a headliner on main stages across the country. One of those legendary venues he often plays brings back special memories with his dad, singer-songwriter Greg Allman.
The Ryman is the mother church in Nashville. It's one of the, the most esteemed venues in the country. And the first time I ever played there was with my dad. And he said, hey man, at the end of the show, we're gonna bring up a friend of mine and you guys can have like a little guitar duel. And I was like, great, like who's coming by? And he goes, oh, it's Keith Urban. I was like, great. This guy he'll just, he's such a slayer. What a great guitar player. And we had a lot of fun.
The Allman Betts Band is also selling out venues around the world.
What's exciting, it's been a crazy few years with the Allman Betts Band, and the Allman Betts Family Revival has been growing. And then I've got my first solo record coming out this July. It's the first one in 8 years. The solo band is ramping up for that. We're doing 3 different tours of Europe. Allman Betts Band is going to Japan for the first time, which is exciting. I've always wanted to go, and we got selected to play at Fuji Rock this year, which is really cool. I've always wanted to play Fuji Rock, so it's a big bucket list check. Right after doing Jazz Fest, which was another big bucket list, it was really an honor to play Jazz Fest and pay tribute to Dickie Betts.
Devon Allman is now a headliner.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to think about it, but some festivals were headlining, and I remember starting and begging my way onto certain festivals, let me play at noon for, $300, and that was really what happened.
So much has changed for Devon Allman.
Life is pretty sweet now. I work when I want to work, and I don't have anyone in the industry that tells me what to do, and that's such a blessing. I don't have pressure to go on tour. I don't have pressure to make a record. I can go on tour when I want to go on tour. I can choose the dates I want to take. I can make the records I want to make. It's such a blessing to have full creative control and full control of my business and my flow.
Devon celebrated his 50th birthday with the world record See It All tour.
See It All with Donovan Frankenreiter. That was the quickest blur of a tour ever. We played all 50 states in 49 days, consecutively, nonstop. And that song was kind of written preemptively, knowing that we would go see it all. So it was really tongue-in-cheek. It was a lot of fun. The video was shot at the factory, actually, on one day where they didn't have a concert there, and we built a video wall and shot a bunch of kind of travel-themed visuals behind us, and it was a lot of fun.
Showing a softer side, one release that surprised his fans and welcomed many new fans is the Maggie Rose and Devon Allman duet of the timeless Jackson Browne song, These Days.
I had invited Maggie Rose to be part of the revival tour a couple years ago. And she called me and she said, man, we should do that Jackson Browne song that your dad did, These Days. And I was like, wow, that would be really cool. It's one of my favorite songs.
These days I sit on the cornerstone, count the time in quarter tones till 10. My friend, and now I believe I've come to see myself again.
Devon recently finished recording his new album.
So you're feeling down and out.
It's a really fun record. It's a different record for me. It's kind of a R&B funk record. I think it's the first time where I've ever made a record and didn't concern myself with it fitting in a blues category or a blues rock category. The new record comes out July 5. It's called Miami Moon. I went down to Criteria Studios in Miami to make this record. Criteria Studios is where the Allman Brothers made about 10 records, including Eat a Peach and Seven Turns, and just some fantastic Allman Brothers records were made there. It's just dripping with history and mojo, and I always wanted to record there.
Devon literally does it all and has his own record label as well.
Yeah, I started Create Records in 2018, and I really started the label. It's a labor of love. It's really meant to be kind of a farming system for younger artists. You know, I realized that the days of record labels signing artists and actually nurturing them through their career, they're just done. I've signed a few artists. It's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. It's scary, you know, but it's really fun to help cultivate careers with others. And I don't know, I think by the time I leave the earth, if I could have gotten 10 or 20 or 30 careers off the ground, I'll feel like I've given back to an industry that, you know, that really took care of me.
He is also the curator and producer of the Allman Family Revival, which started out as a one-night tribute to his father Greg's passing. It was so successful that it's now an annual national tour.
It was one show at the Fillmore. It was easy to, you know, come up with the set list, and the guests were all my friends, and, you know, it was a pretty easy experience to curate. Nowadays, it's a coast-to-coast tour. Like, we don't want people to get bored with the set lists or the guests, so I'm still curating it. I'm still the producer. It's something that starts a few weeks after the tour is over. We start it up for the next year, and we start getting things booked up and getting guests secured, and, you know, start thinking about maybe a different angle for the set list. You know, last year it was really, you know, kind of half Greg Allman songs and half Diggy Betts songs.
During some performances, there are times when Devon feels his father Greg's spirit around him on stage.
It's a weird thing because if you think too much about those kinds of things, you almost tend to kind of drift away from the job at hand, which is, I need to sing this song to the best of my ability. But some nights I feel Dad there. Some nights I kind of ask him to be there. Maybe it's not the best night, and it's like, come on, man, get me through this, you know. I want to do you proud, you know. a lot of times there is an instant lamenting for me because I just wish that Dad was up there singing Melissa instead of me.
The deepest dreams, the gypsy fly to sweet Melissa.
Devon inherited his dad's entire guitar collection, some of which he plays on tour.
These were a couple of the main ones. When he would play Melissa, Midnight Rider live, he would use these two guitars the most. This is a Johnny Cash model Martin acoustic, and this is a Gibson J200 and the Tobacco Burst.
The Allman Betts Family Revival Tour's stellar reviews continue, and it's selling out main stages across America.
I'm loving being able to MC a moment for people to reclaim their youth and go back and re-experience some of those feelings.
So you're feeling down and out, feeling like you're in last place, further from the crowd, hanging your head down in disgrace. So get up, get down, get out, listen to the music, be young, be proud, you know there's nothing to it. You run fresh out and down, no more excuses. Out the rat race. Now it's time to shine, and on every breath you take. So get up, get down, get out, listen to the music. Be young, be proud, you know there's nothing to it. You run fresh out and down, no more excuses. You don't wanna wait anymore. You're always waiting.
Next week, celebrating our founding fathers through the HEC book series. Plus, a safety school for learning to shoot a cannon. Find out where to have a blast. Thanks for watching Spotlight. Join us next Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on KPLR 11.